I got some pictures of him when you were grooming him because he was looking all pretty. Okay, so this is Charlie and Jazmine. Charlie knows kind of nothing, or?
A little bit.
Okay.
He should know walk back in.
Okay. He doesn't lunge. And as you can see, he's going to need a little bit of muscle development here. So what we're going to do, and based on the condition of his neck, he carries his head very high, and that also helps hollow out his back. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to get him to understand that position, where that, as you can see, it'll start to even stretch his top line, and that'll help kind of build this spot here that he's spent many years grooming. So the first step to, I can get this out of here, the first step to teaching them to put their head down the way it's going to matter someday in the saddle. So I teach everything based on what it's going to look like someday, either at liberty or from the saddle. So you can always teach a horse to put his head down by pulling on the pole. Yes, they release the pressure. What I want him to do is I actually want him to push on pressure. So at first he's going to react, kind of like giving you all the preemptives. First he's going to react and throw his head way up, back up, do everything. He's just going to be looking for the wrong, like he's just going to be looking for an answer. As soon as he puts his head into your hand, I'm going to give you a shot at trying to teach it to him. If it doesn't go well and he's getting more confused and he's getting releases at the wrong time, I'm going to take him from you and just help him get that. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually take the line and go, we're not going to do it yet, but I'm just going to walk you through it. We're going to take the line tense and we're going to hold it up like towards his pole. So it's going to cause a tension like that. But now we're going to put pressure on it. I'm not putting pressure on it yet. He will try to evade. He will back up. He will put his head up as high as he can. Luckily, he's a short guy. And all I want you to do is kind of try to stay with your hip at his shoulder and stay with him no matter where he goes and keep that tension. If you accidentally release to get a better grip or because he got away from you, what you do is you teach him that. So we want to make sure that we're releasing at the right time. Okay. So what we're going to be looking for is for him. Actually, I'll do it with you with the end of the line. I'm going to have you hold the end of the line. I'm just going to show you what you're going to hold the end of the line real tight because I'm just going to show you what it feels like. Hold this. Okay. So you're going to have tension, tension, tension. As soon as he gives, you give back. As soon as he gives a little bit, give back. So I'm feeling you still coming with me. So as soon as he gives, give back. There. Okay, and it's still a little bit slow, but you want to make sure that it's like so instantaneously that you give them the right answer. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'll walk you through this. So go ahead and you're going to raise that. Yep. And now you're just going to wait. He's going to go up, up. He's probably going to back up. As soon as he pushes down, so stay in this position here. So you're going to want to stay here. You're not going to let him get out of your position. So if he backs back up with him. As soon as he pushes down in any way, you want to make sure you give. You can even drop the line.
Pushing a little bit down.
Yep, then you want to give when he pushes down. Okay. And then just give him a second. And now go ahead and try again. Our goal is going to be to get his nose to his feet. There. There. So it's real important that I want to see where the line really comes completely slack. So I want to see how it comes like that so I'll know you gave.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a lick and chew, although I'm not sure he's getting the right answer yet.
I mean, he's pushing down, so he's pushing up and then he's pushing down.
Yeah, yeah. Let me introduce it to him, and then I'm going to help, then you can finish it.
That was great.
Okay. It's just the timing's really important to get the message there. So he didn't do anything bad. He had a reaction, but it was a defensive reaction as well as looking for an answer. That's the right answer. So now our goal, as we get to learn him, is to find out what he needs from us, to let him know that he got a gold star. That big gray, he needs you to touch his face. I look for that in the horses to actually want that, because then it's a good connection. You know, if you put your hand on their head and they lower their head, that's a really good way of letting me know he's taking my approval. And then they look for it.
So I can't see you, but right now I'm imagining.
It's completely loose, yep. Because that's our end goal. He's not offering it as it being what I'm looking for on command. But that's our end goal, so we're not going to punish him for it. And the body language is very, 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 very important. My body language now says, that's all I wanted. But when I'm asking for it, my body comes alive. I try to stay with him. I tripped on him, but I still was able to release. There's only tension on the line right now is because I don't want him to walk off. And I don't know if he knows the backup yet. So I'm going to see how lightly I can ask for it. You know, I'm going to see if I can't just kind of keep his attention with me here a little bit. Oh, okay, we got one. We got a spot. And the trick is to never satisfy the itch. Because if you satisfy the itch, it's not a reward anymore. Back up. Okay, so I'm going to see how lightly I can ask for it. I want to actually be asking for it. So I didn't take the tension... Excuse you. I didn't take the tension off the line when I changed hands. I kept one hand was tight as I was changing hands. So that's how you can adjust if you're looking to make it tighter and you lost grip a little bit. So I think he's got it. See if I can gently... I know. He's got it, but he doesn't have it. You know what I mean? Like the pawing still says, I don't really know what we're doing, but I know you stopped doing that when I put my head down. So we want him to make those connections, but he's not making the connection that we're having a conversation. See, now I go to pull his head up, and he's like, no, I'll keep it down. Okay, so I'm going to kind of get him distracted again, and then I'm going to ask him for it, and if he's that willing to say, I get it, we're going to have you do it. So I'm gently asking, okay. So I think he's got it. Now what we're going to do is, while you're doing that, I want him to hear it in your voice, because you're the one that's going to be doing these exercises with him. Say the words, head down. Say them until his head hits the ground. Good. So we're going to want to say head down. So when you initiate the command, say head down. Good. And the reason we're doing that is because it's very difficult to teach them head down on a circle without them having the verbal cue to do it. Okay. He's like, okay, I like this game.
Head down.
Good boy. So again, he's not truly understanding there's a conversation being had here, but that's okay. So just take him for a little walk, and then we're going to ask him again, because he's just allowing himself to get very distracted, which is fine. And this is where you would practice your hoe, and then ask him to put his head down.
Head down.
Good job. Good. Okay, so we're not going to kill him with that. It actually turns out I'm going to go grab your stick real quick, only because maybe we might need it, and I don't want to not have it if we need it. You're okay with me taking these knots out of it, right? Okay, so first two things we have to teach him is we have to teach him to back up, Does he know how to back up by a wiggle on the rope? Have you tried that with him?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay.
From pressure on.
Okay. So what I do is I drop all the line between me and the horse in front of him. I hold the end of the popper like I'm holding a bicycle handle. And then first I wiggle my finger at him to see if he'll back up to that. If he won't, then I wiggle my wrist. If he won't back up to that, then I make the bunch of rope in front of me move. Then I make the bunch of rope in front of him move. Then I make the snap move. Then I give him full 8-10 volume on the snap.
So you start with...
Everything's on the ground. And then hold it like this. First offer this, then offer this, then offer it on the where you wiggle it on the ground, then offer where you wiggle it in front of him. Yep. And then go ahead and wiggle the snap. And as soon as he steps back, and if you have to do it for a long time, like he's pushing against pressure, that's okay. Just make sure you make it as loud as you can now, because the wrong answer has to be very uncomfortable.
Back. Back.
Good. Stop. Good. This. Yep. Yep. Don't worry about him not paying attention. If you're a lead horse, it doesn't matter. He'll know exactly where you are and what you're doing.
Back. Back.
Good. Stop. Good. That's a good release. Good. Now you have his attention. Now ask for another one as politely as you can. Yep. Now in front of you. Now make the snap move. And stop. Good. Good. Now ask for another one. Yep. Yep. Loud, 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 loud. Wrong answer has to go there. Yep. Good. 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 So now we're going to give him a break on that. We're just going to bring him back up here. We're just going to give him a break on that so he can just digest it for a second, because we had to get loud with him. And then I do a lot of like walk him off of it, let him shake it off. He does have polite leading manners. He is actually quite good at leading. Okay, so now we're going to bring him back up. We're going to see if we can turn, face him, and ask him to back away from us again. So I hold the popper in my hand so it doesn't hit me. Stop. Good. Good. Yep. Yep. Yep, make it your idea. And stop. Good. Good. We're going to have him do one more step back. Then we're going to invite him into us. But first, start off gentle. Start off real gentle. So we don't want to start off at a 5 when we only want to be able to ever have to go to a 10. Yep. Yep. Now you can get louder. Yeah, he cheated on that one, but that's okay. We'll give it to him. Yep. So now just comb the, yep, and then stand up. So what we want to teach him is this means come, like that. And when we stand up, well, I was already using that with him outside. When we stand up, that means far enough. And if he doesn't respect that and he still has a very forward lean, we're going to throw a gentle wiggle down the rope to say, oh, I don't think you should make another step. If he does still commit to that step, then you're going to get loud, because the wrong answer is you came one more step. So the wrong answer always has to be uncomfortable. Like him crowding you should be uncomfortable. Yep, good. So we don't, especially in a new relationship, we don't want to encourage the crowding. Good. Okay. Go ahead and ask him.
Down.
Yeah, you can do a head down too.
Head down. Down.
Yep. Let him sort it out. Yep. Stay with him. Stay with him. Stay with him.
Down.
Good. Yep.
Head down.
Yep. Good. Good. We'll ask for another one because he had it really good before.
Head down.
Good. Even another one. See if we can get him all. Okay. He's like, all right, I know this game. Okay, so now we're going to ask him to back up again. We got 2 more things we got to teach him. And then we'll put it all together. So yeah, be consistent. It's either back or back up, but don't do back up sometimes and back other times.
Back.
The more black and white you can be, the better it is for them. Good. Yep, one more. Still starting at like a 3. So I want you to start at like a 1, which is just the wiggle. You want him to be able to back up to you just saying back up with your finger at him. No rope. Yep. And now go ahead and put it down in front of you, then in front of him, then make the snap move, and stop. Good. Now see how lightly you can get him to do it. Good. Now also the expression on your face should be very much like probably Jasper's was last night. You know, I suggest you get out of there. Okay. No. Okay. Sorry. Stay. And then the comeback is a very friendly change of posture. So the backup's get, and then friendly come back. When he comes to you, that's far enough. And I do it kind of jerky, like, that's far enough. Yep. So that way it almost startles them into that stop, and then they can get the right answer because of that. Okay, so let's get him to back pretty much the length of the line. Then we're going to invite him back in and see if we can also get him to understand that's far enough. And then we'll teach him how to go in a direction we want him to go. Good? Now again. Because eventually we're going to want him to take a couple steps at a time. Good? Good? Good, and stop. Good. Now ask him again. Good. Good. Good, and stop. So the only thing I want you to do is that as he's backing up, I want you to oscillate to a quiet. So like as soon as he starts respecting you, then be like, all right, see, that's all. If you just did it to that, it would be great. Then you can get loud again. So just kind of play with the volume. Okay, now invite him back before he starts moving on his own. Stand up. Far enough. Yep, so he still had lean, and he actually committed to another. So if we had actually, when you stood up was about here. So he should have stopped there, and you should have done something about it so he's not here. And then, even if he did, let's just say he wasn't respecting you, telling him, hey, we already saw that you could get him out of your space, so that's kind of what you're going to do. You're going to say, hey, you came too far, until he gets to where you originally asked him to stop. So that's how you're going to keep making sure you stay black and white, because that's very gray, what he just did. Yep. Just an excuse to practice the backup. Yep. And then try to go as gentle as you can as he's moving. And then, if he does the wrong thing, which is coming forward, you could get loud. So it's like cranking the volume on the stereo. Go ahead and ask him to go back a little bit more. Yep. And your goal is to see how light each time. See how light you can get him to do it. And get as loud as you need to. But then see how light you can keep him going. Good. I like for them to stay there and ask questions. You're still very much in active mode. Try to be neutral now, because that means you've done what I want. So even neutral would be your hand down. There you go. Okay, now invite him to you. So it's friendly. Pick your spot where you're going to tell him that he can't come any farther, and then make sure that you make him respect that. Good. Yep, now you go to him. So the lead horse is the only one that's allowed to groom on another horse. The other horses cannot go and groom on the lead horse. So don't ever let him think that he's above you. Okay? You always go to him. And you can love on him and let him love back, because when the lead horse says, I want to groom with you, he does allow the grooming to be done on him. But that's the only time that, you really want that to happen. Okay. we're going to ask him to cross his front legs over from standing in front of him. We'll do all the other yield stuff, but I want to get this exercise for something for you to not only play with, but also for to help him start to develop. Okay, so we're going to ask him to back out of your space, which we should try to get him in the habit of not being in your space. So ask him to back a little bit more.
Back. Back. Back.
Good. Now, what we're going to do is when you ask a horse to go out on the circle, it seems logical to point that way. But truthfully, it causes them to do exactly what he's doing. It causes them to come to you. Okay. So that's good. Stay consistent with that, because otherwise he's not going to understand his responsibility. And another thing you could do is like a responsibility box where you've imagined he's standing in a box and he's not allowed to come out of that box. Now you're teaching him the stand command, which is good for ground tying, for grooming, and all that good stuff. You could tack him up without anything on him. So what we're going to do is when you want them to go out on the circle, you're actually not going to point that way. You're going to point, say, back to that string across between those two windows, or you're going to point to my trailer. You're actually going to point for them to take their nose out that way. I want your nose to go that way, and you'll go out on the circle. If you point this way, they come across, and they do what I call a drive-by. They come by you. Sometimes they'll hit you with their ribs on purpose. Then you start to create a relationship that might be hard to break. Okay. So you're going to point at that window. This time you're going to take a feel. So you're going to have a hold of the line where you can have a feel on his nose. You can still keep him where he is, but just make sure that the line... So when you... When you first teach it... Back. Here, I'm going to demonstrate. It's a lot easier than trying to walk it through verbally. So I'm going to ask him to back up. Back. Good. So now I'm going to say, all right, where do I pick? I pick there. So I'm going to point over there. I'm pointing like basically at that clock. If he comes forward, I'm going to wiggle and say wrong answer. Okay? Now what I'm going to also do is I'm going to keep 12 to 14 inches of this in my hand. I'm going to take the slack in this hand so it's not in my way. I'm just preventing him from walking because he was thinking about it. I'm going to point at that clock. His nose is already following. My energy now is going to go to his shoulder. He has no idea he's going to do it right because he's just distracted. But I'm going to give him all that he needs to understand right now. And neutral is very, very important. So I'm not taking hold of his nose and dragging him over there, so now I'm going to point at that door. I'm more in front of him than I want us to be. I might take a stronger feel on his nose just so he doesn't go the wrong way. But I'm going to tell him, I'd like you to go that way. My focus is on his shoulder because it's his shoulder that his nose going that way is perfect, is what I want. I'm not going to let it come back, but I want his shoulder. That's where my focus actually is on his shoulder. So now I'll point at the umbrella. So I'm going to keep pointing in an area that makes sense to tell him to put his nose. Like, look over there. You're asking him to look behind him, basically. The rope, you can make the rope longer by just opening your hand. I'm not going to make him run for leaving, because that's eventually what we're going to want him to do. But we are going to teach him an actual go cue. Ask him to stop. Tell him to stay there. I told you to stay there. Put that foot back. Put that foot back. Good. So, going to point at the umbrella again. Tell him, don't go forward. Point at the umbrella again. My support is way out here. Now I'm going to start to open my hand. As I open my hand, I can make that rope longer. And I dropped everything. And I'm okay with him leaving now. There's going to be a time where it's going to be very particular about, I only want you to cross your feet. But right now, he's sorting out all the answers he comes up with, and that's okay. So, like, for example, back, I'm going to put this one foot back. Then I'm going to point at the window next to the one that has the frisbee in it. Now my focus goes on his shoulder. I'm going to tell him, no, I didn't really want you to come forward. I want him to think, I'm going to put my focus towards that water tub there. Nope, nope, because he's coming forward is why he's getting corrected. It's a go out and away from me. It's a go out and away. Yep, you're right now. Good, good. So I do a lot of yes and nopes, kind of like hotter and colder kind of game. They do respond to it. Whether they understand it means you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong, I don't know, but they do respond to it, so I use it. So when I think that they're getting the right answer, excuse me, I'm talking to you. Hey. Yeah, we're in school now. Okay, so ask him to back up so he's far enough out of your space that he can hear you. I say hear you, they, so they can see you, but I say that they can't hear you if they're up close. Good, good. That was perfect because he got the wrong answer and he came in kind of like his whole body on you. Okay, so I would point at least to the window that's closest to the... Oh, nope. He just actually started walking and didn't follow any instructions. So you want it to be very deliberate. So you're going to point at, say, that middle piece of that panel there. And then, oh, you know what? That's even too far. We're going to go to that middle piece of that one. Yep. The idea is you want him to now, like you're basically saying, hey, look over there. And you want him to go where? Okay, that's what we want him to do. You want to put your support on his shoulder. Back him up so he doesn't think he can move when you don't want him to move. Good. Good. That's good. So now point at that panel there. Yep. Be prepared to support the shoulder. Yep. Now put your support on his shoulder. Wiggle if he comes forward. Yep. So that's my don't go forward. Yep. So that's all we're going to work on. We're going to work on him taking, yep. Loud, 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 loud. Wrong answer, wrong answer, wrong answer. Yep. And then go quiet when you can. Go quiet when you can. So see how as soon as he changed gears, he was all up here. As soon as he went like that, that's when you want to go quiet. Yep. And you still do want him out of your space, but that's when you want to let him know by going quiet, you're getting the right answer now. Okay, if you stay loud, then you're still punishing, and even when he's doing it right. Okay. So now I would point at the middle of that panel. Yep. Yeah, and then be prepared to support his shoulder. So you're going to bump his nose a little bit as kind of like a tap on the shoulder. Yep. And now say, yep, big wig's going forward. He's going forward. So we want him to literally have you point there and him go, what? They totally, like, you want him to turn and look at what you just said. Look at that. You know how fast they can do that when they spook at something behind them? That's kind of what we want him to do. We want him to think that he needs to look at something that's behind him. Good. Yep. Yep. Yep, and that support is just quiet enough to just kind of encourage. If you can step towards him, up, wiggle, 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 wiggle. So the more he gets to do that, the more gray it is. Good, and now go quiet, go quiet. He's listening. So it's more of a direction than a pull, because if you pull, you're going to pull him to you. And allow drift in that line when he does turn his head so you don't accidentally pull him back at you again. So also always keep your verbal cues exactly the same, like you're going from back to back. And we want to make sure that it sounds the same to them, especially because they don't understand the language. So it's better that they remember how it's heard. Yep, if you have to, flip them in the chest. There, never mind. Good. But that's another way to, if you don't want to turn the volume up that high. Good, now you got his attention. Bump him for the wrong answer. That's the wrong answer, looking the wrong way. Yep, now, yep, and then just don't hold a grudge. Yep. Ask him to look behind him. Make sure he's got a drift to look behind him. So that way when he does turn his head, he doesn't catch himself on that line. Yep, you can step in there a little bit. Yep, now you're starting to point out and you're forgetting to tell him where to go. Good. Yep, there you go. Yep, point behind him, point behind him, point. There you go. Yep, he's got to have all this to offer. Yep. And make sure you don't grab it tight when he goes to leave. But be ready to wiggle if he goes forward instead of out behind him. Yep, there you go. Allow him to have that drift. You can walk in with him until he gets it right. Keep pointing. You're forgetting to point. There, now he's got the right answer, so stay pointing. All right, we're going to give it to him. Good boy. Oh, good boy. No, it's a lot harder than it looks. It's okay.
Coordination.
Yeah. Motor skills, rope skills. Yeah. Your brain's on one thing, and you went from, and everybody, you're not any different, but you went from, I'm going to tell him to go there, to, oh wait, I got to focus on his shoulder. And before you know it, he's not being given any direction. So we want to make sure that we're always very clear, like, look over there. No, seriously, look. Right? That's kind of the impression you want to give him.
Okay. All right.
That would be something I would definitely work on too. That would be a bad way to start your relationship, because then it's hard to break. And he's got enough respect that he doesn't need to do that. We're going to give it to him that he's just not that smart about it. Undereducated, as opposed to being rude. So again, think like you're telling him to turn back and look over his shoulder. Yes. That's okay. He did go forward. We do want to stop that too. Yep. Good. That's the nice thing about rope halters, is a regular halter, he would have taken you over there. Okay. Anytime, which I didn't go with you, anytime that I either cross in front of them or I tell them to stay here, I put my hand on their nose, because otherwise I want my horse to always come with me wherever I go. Okay. So if I ever take a rope off and I walk over there, I want him to follow me over there. But if I don't want him to follow me, I'll put my hand on his nose to let him know he's not supposed to follow me, or put my hand on his nose so I can walk in front of him without him walking forward. Because if my goal mentally is I'm going to get on the other side of him and I go to walk and he walks with me, most people will punish the horse, because that's not what, the horse couldn't read their mind, but they just think, well, you should have known better. I was going over there. So we want to make sure that our language is always 100% clear, and you offer them always the best deal. Okay. So ask him to back away. And he doesn't have to get very far. You just ask him to take at least that 1 foot back, even with the other one.
Back.
You can give him a little flip in the chest at the end of the line. Good. Good boy. Okay. So yeah, we're going to keep working going in the same direction. Up. Wrong answer. Oh. Okay. So a lot happened on your end. You ended up hitting him, even though we wanted to stop him. So. Back. Yep, now that was the wrong answer. Good. Now get as quiet as you can when he changes gears. Good. Okay, buddy. You're okay. He's like, this is hard. You're okay. I'll even get you the fly spray if you need it. Okay. All right, so back him up. If the flies keep bothering him the way they're bothering him, we'll go. I don't even see the flies, but they're bothering him. Okay. Yep, just get him to stand still, and then... Have you fly sprayed him?
I haven't.
Okay.
I hope that he's been fly sprayed.
I know, I'm going to make that better. So they jump all over your belly. Yeah. Or your little personal parts, huh? Yeah. Good job. You're okay. Yep, I'm on this side. So you know that each side of them is new? So he's never seen this before, since I'm on this side of him. I know. It smells really good, doesn't it? You can't, though. I don't think it's that yummy to eat. All right. Okay, so that will be one thing that you're going to work on also, is drawing an imaginary box and making sure that he doesn't move one single foot from that box. Once he's back in that box, you leave him alone. This is going to help him learn how to stand still and help you with your timing. Because like he's doing an awful lot of walking. Good. And stop. Go neutral. There. Because you going quiet will tell him that the wrong answer's been moving. Good, and he had a little thought to move. Okay, so now we'll go back to telling him what we want. Now, if he goes forward, it's wrong. I'd rather see him kind of go backward and turn back. Yep, you can step in there. Yep, there. Good, leave him alone. Yep, let him do whatever. It's okay. He wants to roll now. I got him wet. He's like, oh, I gotta roll. I gotta do it. I can't help myself. I do both sides, so I have to go back down. Sorry. I'll be done in a minute. And he can actually get all the way over. Good. All right, that's it. Sometimes he goes down one more time, but that's enough. No, he's like, no, you don't understand. I gotta do it one more time. Yeah. We have a 2 down rule here. You only go down twice. Okay, so ask him to back away.
Back.
Good. Pick your spot. Yep. Don't forget to keep telling him to look that way while you support his shoulder to follow where you're telling him to go. It's okay. Yep, don't worry about it. He should just, you can bump him so his nose sort of goes in the right direction there. There, good, good, leave him alone. He's a little forward, but I'm not going to be that critical. But your ideal would be him rocking back and good boy, good boy. Good boy, you're good, you're good. Yeah, no, we don't use our mouth. You're a good boy. Okay, so we'll do it again. I want that kind of sharp so that way you guys don't get in a bad habit, like when you practice on your own, get in a bad habit of kind of letting him come in on you on his way out. You know what I mean? I really want I want you to say, go that way, and him go, okay. That's what it's going to look like. It's not going to look like, oh, all right, I'll go this way. You know? It has to look like my back feet will never come off the circle. I'll turn and go on the circle from here. Okay? So if you get that image in your mind, you can help him see it.
Back.
Believe it or not, it's pretty amazing how much they can see if you put a picture out there for them. Good. Yep. Yep, good, good. And all that's doing is that's helping him pay attention to you. Good. Okay, we'll let him have it. It's all right. If he even wants to run and get himself worked up, that's okay. He gets a little fire in his feet, that's okay. So we're just going to allow him to drift out. Let him just have it. We're just going to let him have it. So he's doing this for himself. He needs to come off the adrenaline a little bit. So now what I want you to do, since, unless he comes in on you, I want your hand to stay as neutral as possible. So keep your hand down. Because as long as your hand's sticking out at him, you're communicating. So unless he comes in at you, put your hand down to your side. Put your hand down to your side. Put your hand down to your side. Literally like this. There you go. You're like... Well, if he comes at you, then throw all that rope at him. He's developed a little bit. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You have control of him now. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. His pattern is he pops up right here. So he's going to walk nice. He'll probably start picking up a trot right there. And then he's probably going to bounce up in the air right here. Okay. Yep. Good. So his pattern is he's going to pop up right over here. Good. Now he's stopping it. Good. So now say, all right, you want to trot, but now you have to keep the trot. So we're going to give him a trot cue, which is going to be kissing twice. So when he breaks to that walk, kiss twice. Put your hand up like you're telling him to go again and kiss twice. Say, hey, you want to trot? Then I want you to keep trotting. So now when he breaks to that walk, kiss twice. Put your hand up like you're telling him to go again. Good. Leave him alone. Yep. So I'm going to give you the stick only so that you can feel a little more safe for yourself. Anytime they come in on you, you can throw all that bunched up rope right at them. Throw it right at the ribs. But I'm going to end up giving you something more to focus on as far as your energy, as far as your mechanics. So let's stop him. Oh, good. Okay. So now you have something to kind of flip at him if he comes in on you. His pattern is, so I'll ask you, what have you noticed his pattern is? He's got a pretty good pattern.
He's got a little trot and then popping up.
Okay.
There, yep.
Yeah. And then what's he doing anywhere else?
And he's walking.
Okay. And then what's he doing over here?
He's picking up some energy.
He's picking up some energy and he's looking out. So he's totally decided, all right, wait, and then he goes, oh, I'm on that stupid line again, all right, whatever. And then he pops up, hey, sweetie, you're okay. So we want to see how we can control that energy, control his enthusiasm, kind of throw a little bit of a bump at him if he bumps up over here anymore, so we can interrupt that. When he pulls away from you, you're going to give him a little bump to you. So we're just going to try to say, oh, that's okay that you're out there doing your own thing, but you need to be focused on me without being too micromanaging. You're going to say, I've noticed your pattern. I noticed you like to look over there, but you know what? I'd rather you pay attention to me right here. And then, oh, I noticed you like to jump up right there. I'd really rather you didn't do that. So that way we can start getting him to go, all right, then, what would you like me to do? The more they look at you, the more they're ready to take instructions. The more they look away from you, the more they're doing their own thing. Okay, so we'll practice the backup, practice the turn away, and then if he leaves, try to, you know what I'll tell you to do? I'll tell you to actually kiss to tell him to leave, so that way he can leave and be right. Yep, you didn't tell him to do any of that. Yep. Good. When you're ready, and it's your idea, and if he moves in at any point where it's not your idea, do something about it. So kiss, so that way he has a go cue. Yeah. Then just leave him alone. This way we don't make him wrong for not understanding that he's supposed to just stay still. Now he may develop a whole new pattern. So he picks it up there. So now, like, say, okay, hey, you want to trot? Keep trotting now. So when he breaks to the walk, which he's about to do, go ahead and tell him to trot. Good. Tell him to trot. So you want to trot? Go ahead. But now we're going to do it because I said so. Trot. Good. So I do a 2-kiss trot, 1-kiss walk. It's just easier for me if you're going to keep him here that we do kind of the same stuff so that way I don't ever mess him up. So you want to be kind of right on it and not give up until he does it. Good. Now leave him alone. If you think that you know where he's going to break, you can do 1 kiss to encourage him to not think about breaking. Yep. So say, like, stay, insist, like, nag him. There. Now leave him alone. 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 So I tried to give him 1 kiss to tell him that he didn't need to break. So if you need to, let the string drop off that stick and just kind of be like, hey, I suggest you get out of there because this string's going to come get you. Good, leave him alone. So when you want to leave him alone, you want to leave him alone like the stick goes quiet, your hands go quiet, everything goes quiet, so that way he knows the difference between active and being left alone. Being left alone means, okay, whatever I'm doing is my responsibility to maintain that. Good, now leave him alone. So stop walking so he doesn't get to go everywhere he wants to go, because he's just taking you there. So try to stay in one spot. You can pivot and follow him because he's too green at this to just pass behind your back. But if you keep walking with him, then he gets to go kind of wherever he wants. Good? Okay, so stop for a second. So just kind of, yep, good, stop. Don't yank him in on you, because then you're just going to encourage him to come be in your space. Okay, so we're not going to tell him trot and kiss, because then it's giving him words that he has to try to understand. Okay. When you want him to do it, if you flip the rope at him, you're actually giving him a downward transition cue. Okay. So we want to make sure that even though you're trying to, when you're trying to get him to trot, like you were trying to encourage him with your forward hand, but the problem is that you threw a lot of energy in the rope at him, so if he was to downward transition, he did exactly